the raw. RK's Guyana Free Media. And I'm your friend, your host, your brother Hajji, Dr. Roshan can. In the raw. Dearest beloved divine friends, family, brothers and sisters. What kind of people would go to the level of burning down an educational institution in their country? We have to study the mentality of this group of saboteurs and their ancient link to fire, arson, and in many cases, murder, rape. And one of the biggest period that we could ever think and understand of was the Wismar massacre in the early 60s. I was a big boy then. And I recall when our home had to take in refugees coming from what is now Linden Town, Wismar, when Indo-Guyanese were beaten, slaughtered, and murdered by a political plan and machination, and they made it look emotionally it was done by the Indo-Guyanese. What a sad thing to say. These people were living together and they wanted to divide and rule, and I am blaming the superpowers at that time, which is MI5 of the United Kingdom, who did not want Guyana to become another Cuba or to be watched over by Russia, as Hajji Jagan was espousing and developing that relationship, and had a hate for the capitalist imperialistic system, even though we, the Indo-Guyanese, mostly are capitalists. However, he, Dr. Hajji Jagan, was always talking of a three-style investment policy: personal, private capitalists, partnership with government capitalists, government investments. And so what he wanted, capitalists and business and foreign investments with a human touch. This is what I recall growing up as a child and remembering many, many, many years as a teenager reading the Western Trial. But that explosion on the Son Chapman, it would be ludicrous to think that some Indo-Guyanese would go and put that bomb on that Son Chapman boat loaded with Afro-Guyanese and going to Wismar and Mackenzie, so to say, that area. And they, over there, were not prepared for the massacre. They were not prepared to run away, or they did not leave, or they were not guided to prepare to leave. I am saying it was always a case of imperialists and those who wanted to keep Guyana in the shadow in a divide and rule system, so that the person they see as the best person to take power was Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, in what was the huge destabilization of the Hajji Jagan government. There are few people trying to show that the massacre never took place. A certain colleague of mine in the Ethnic Relations Commission is always trying to prove that. But we know emotion is a terrible thing, because Indo-Guyanese business people and the citizens of Wismar and Mackenzie and the Afro-Guyanese were brothers and sisters. But they were manipulated by this explosion, and that is where the burning and the looting, as far as I could remember, generated from. And then it is always a state of burning and beating and looting, especially at election time, and knowing that election is not far away from now, and with all the mass development of this country, the psychopath of, and as alleged by many people in the country, that this element within this beautiful party of the People's National Congress, I love their constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to read the constitution of the People's National Congress, of the party, that amazing constitution, one of the best constitutions I have ever seen politically in the world. I mean, you got to give credit to Forbes Burnham for creating such a constitution. That such a constitution would comprise, and such a party would comprise a set of people who are bent on trying to destroy and disaffect the people's government. Recognized by the world because they're claiming they won the election and they can't show their SOPs. But not even one country in all these countries of the world has recognized them. And so they are hell-bent on destroying this country, but more so the youths. And in the city of Georgetown, friends and family, ladies and gentlemen, what kind of a people in the city of Georgetown really are domiciled or living here? It's kith and kin of the mass supporters of the People's National Congress. And trust me, it is not all there. This clandestine group of saboteurs that would like to destroy the children of this nation. Look, particularly Georgetown, look at all those students who had to run out of the Bishop's High School because there was a bomb scare. The mental pressure on these students who have to write exams very soon. Do this small group of psycho saboteurs, haters of Guyana's decency and elegance, would these people like this to happen to their own children if they're in that school? And also to burning down school, one of the famous old church school of Christ Church. A few weeks ago, they were able to thwart an attempt at arson. Now, they were successful. A staff, a security guard in a massive place like that cannot see all corners. It is impossible. Then you don't have smoke alarms and you have nothing there to try and help a fire. So friends and families, brothers, sisters, ladies and gentlemen, it is not an easy task to have to contend with this kind of a saboteur who cares only about their own ego and would try to destroy this educational system and affect our children. Now, with me is Stabrook News of January 17th, 2023. Christchurch fire was arson. The Guyana First Fire Service concludes. Arson. Those who don't know arson, it means definitely set by intent and will to destroy by individual or individuals. And I know it's that culprit who is an agent of this party psychos, the party psychos, you know, the few. But the fact is they seem to be putting all their energies and trying to destroy our beautiful relationship in Guyana amongst all the peoples, and to create mayhem and destruction. Let me give you, that's my take. It's a long one, ladies and gentlemen. It is over 9 minutes, that take, that concern, that emotion in my heart. A Guyana Fire Service investigation has concluded that the blaze which gutted the Christchurch Secondary School last Thursday afternoon was an act of arson. This cause was determined It was maliciously set by persons unknown, Fire Chief Gregory Wickham yesterday told Stabroek News. In a press release yesterday afternoon, the Guyana Fire Service noted that there were several points of origin of the fire on January 12th. So there were several times they really want to burn that place down. There had been a suspicious combustion at a school lab on January 4th, which required fire services intervention. That happened before. Suspicious combustion. Those who don't understand, an explosion. Or a combustion, incendiary things can cause fire starting up. Taking in consideration the time of the day that both fires occurred, 1629 hours, January 4th, and 1722 hours, January 13th, coupled with the fact that the second fire had several points of origin seats. It is the determination of the fire service that the fire was maliciously set by a person or persons unknown, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, the release said. According to the press release, investigators were able to determine the cause of the fire, having ruled out that it was electrical in origin or as a result of another chemical reaction, that it was a chemical combustion or something of that, like that, or that it was electrical. They ruled it out, ladies and gentlemen. On the evening of the previous fire at the Learning Institute, which was ruled the result of chemical reaction combustion, all chemicals were removed from the building. As such, there were no chemicals in the building at the time of the fire, which rules out the possibility that there was another chemical reaction. But I find it strange we have so many schools and we are not having those chemical reactions. Unless we have within the school the psychos psychos associated with the psychos of the party or with the American basement dwellers and failures who would wish to see Guyana go up and destroyed if possible so they could just have their insanity and their insane joys sated. In other words, whet their appetite, make them feel good. Furthermore, the day after the first fire at the school, Christchurch Secondary was inspected and certified by the Government Electrical Inspectorate, which rules out the possibility of a second fire, which being electrical in origin. So just days before they did an inspection there. The Guyana police force has since taken over the investigation. It is unclear whether any arrest has been made, according to Stabroek News. However, Police Commander of Region 4A, Simon McBean, yesterday told Stabroek News that the investigation is ongoing. In the release yesterday, the GFS said it received a call at 7:22 hours on January 13th, and water tenders from the Central, Alberton, West Rumpveld and Campbellville fire stations were immediately dispatched to the location. Upon their arrival, the GFS said firefighters observed smoke emanating from the two-story gutted and concrete structure. And while getting into action, the building quickly became engulfed in flames. Those old, ancient wood, maybe hundreds of years old, begging in a way for fire. We need to start working one at a time with concreting our schools, even one at a time in Central Georgetown, at least one at a time or two at a time per year. This is the suggestion of yours truly, Hajji, Dr. Roshan Khan, in the raw. And despite firefighting efforts, the GFS said more than 80% of the building and its contents were destroyed, and the remainder suffering severe damage. 8 jets working from an open water source, a water relay system, fire hydrant and tank supply were used to extinguish the blaze. 3 neighboring buildings were also affected by the conflagration and suffered damages to their AC units, PVC guttering, ceilings, windows and curtains, the GFS noted on January 4th. The GFS was summoned to be to the school around 4:30 p.m. after receiving information that smoke was emanating from the building. Victims had said, although initially believing it was a fire, investigations found that several chemicals being stored in the science laboratory were released and caused the combustion. The chemicals were subsequently removed from the building, but I think they were set to create the combustion or the explosion of a fire. At the time of the fire, the school's premises was secured by Atlas Security Service. Starbuck News had previously spoken to an official of the firm who had said that they too are investigating the fire. The woman had told this newspaper that one of the guards who was on duty contacted the company's office last Thursday afternoon upon noticing fire coming from the school building. I can say that one of the ranks that was on that location made contact with the office shortly after they saw fire coming from the building, and they were advised by this office to get to a safe place, taking the security diary with them, the woman explained. At that time, she said the GFS had already been informed. The school catered for 502 students, 39 teachers, and 9 ancillary staff. The Ministry of Education is still looking at locations to accommodate the displaced students. In the meantime, they are engaged in online classes. So, ladies and gentlemen, friends and families, what kind of a people in this country would do something like that to create destruction of the lives and the future of children of the city of Georgetown and in this country? And those psychos who are in New York, what joy do they get? They have to be a people suffering from sadistic tendency, enjoying people suffering, especially our youths. They don't have a guilty conscience. They don't have a heart for youths and peoples of this country, for the teachers who are sacrificing. Imagine all the paperworks, all the history, all the graduating diplomas might have been stored there for people who never picked them up. Imagine what they must have gone through with depression and pain, friends and families, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pain in my heart to know that we have people in this country working with people out of the country, and those few people in this country would work or associate with psychos within a great political entity of this country. Your friend, your brother, me, Hajji, Dr. Roshan, Kaninda, Ra, saying thank you and farewell, friends.